Let's bring in CBS News contributor Robert Berger, who's joining us now from Jerusalem. Robert, as you know, Israeli and Lebanese officials are expected to hold some very rare talks today in Washington. I mean, can anything be accomplished since Israel, as you know, has been targeting Hezbollah, who seems to be outside of the control of the mainstream Lebanese authorities?
Well, I think, first of all, the fact that the talks are taking place at all is positive. These are the first talks, direct talks between Israel and Lebanon since 1993. And the two countries are officially in a state of war. So that's a good sign. But there are wide gaps as far as the goals. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel has two goals. First and foremost is the disarming of Hezbollah. And secondly, he says a peace that will last for generations with Lebanon. Now, Lebanon says, first of all, we need a ceasefire. And the problem is, though, one of the parties, as you mentioned, that's warring parties, Hezbollah, is not even involved in these talks and actually urged Lebanon not to take part in the talks. So you have a Lebanese government that seems to have goodwill toward Israel, willing to make peace, willing, it says, to disarm Hezbollah, but it's a weak government that simply doesn't have the power to do that. But the bottom line, if President Trump needs a ceasefire in Lebanon in order to make a deal with Iran, I think Israel will have to go along with it.
Yeah, so speaking of a possible deal with Iran and then those U.S. and Iran talks that we were just speaking about with Weijia, who was on before you, how much influence does Netanyahu, does Israel actually have in that war? Because I think in the beginning it was a question of, oh, did Israel push us into this? Now it's sort of up in the air. I mean, based on your expert opinion, how much influence do you think they are having here?
I think Israel has, we've seen that Israel does have influence. Prime Minister Netanyahu has a lot of leverage, I think, with President Trump. After all, we got the U.S. to join Israel in the war against Iran. And what Israel is pushing for, and we'll see at the end if there is a deal, if Israel gets what it wants, is, first of all, the nuclear issue, that there won't be any uranium enrichment at all. Even though we're hearing of possible compromises, Israel wants no uranium enrichment. It wants the enriched uranium to be found and taken out of the country, limits on ballistic missiles, and an end to Iranian support for Hezbollah in Lebanon and other proxies like Hamas in Gaza and the Houthis in Yemen.
So we're now in week two, or almost at the end of this 2-week ceasefire. What does the next phase of the war look like?
Well, we have to wait and see if they can strike a deal. Here in Israel, life has pretty much gotten back to normal, except in the north, where Hezbollah has been firing rockets and drones across the border, and Israel has been attacking Lebanon. There have been no Iranian ballistic missiles falling here in Jerusalem or anywhere else in the country since the ceasefire. But if you look at public opinion, there's a very interesting poll which shows that more than half of Israelis don't expect this ceasefire to last very long, not more than a few months. So to sum it up, I'd say Israelis hoping for the best and preparing for the worst.
All right, Robert Berger, as always, my friend, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
All right.